Welcome to video 11 of the Beginner Guitar Quick Start series. In this lesson, we're going to make your strumming a little bit more musical and dress it up. If you remember in the last lesson, we went through the G, D, A minor 7, C progression, and we kept the strumming really simple. I did that so you could concentrate on your chord changes and making them smooth. In this lesson, we're going to learn a little bit more musical and realistic strumming pattern. This is going to be great for you because you're going to be able to dig deeper into actually expressing yourself more musically on the guitar. Now, if you don't have your chord transitions down perfectly, don't feel like you have to have them down just dead on before you continue with the strumming pattern in this lesson. To learn the strumming pattern that we're going to use in this lesson, you're going to have to learn how to count 16th notes. So basically, to this point, we've been counting just 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. In order to count 16th notes, we need to give each beat or each number in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 syllables as kind of placeholders. So what we're going to do is count 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And you may feel a little bit silly doing this, but what I want you to do is just count out loud with me using that counting system. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And just do that over and over again until you get used to it. So now that you know how to count 16th notes, I'm just going to show you this new strumming pattern, and then we're going to kind of break it apart and dissect it. So I'm just going to put a G chord on and play the strumming pattern over and over again for you. So this new strumming pattern incorporates an upstroke, and one thing I want to remind you of is don't feel like you have to strum through all 6 strings when you're using your upstrokes. If you pay attention, I'm only hitting about the top 4 strings when I use my upstrokes. Another tip I want to give you for your upstrokes and your downstrokes for that matter is you don't have to dig in with a ton of your pick. All you have to use is the very tip. Otherwise, if you dig in with too much of the pick, that can make it really hard to get that upstroke through the strings. So just experiment with that. Don't dig in too much. And don't feel like you have to hit all 6 strings coming up. So let's talk about this new strumming pattern a little bit. I'm going to tell you the counting for it. It's 1, 2, and a. So if you have 1 E and a, you can have a downstroke on 1, 1 E and a. And then you're going to have a downstroke on 2, and that's going to ring out through 2E, and then you're going to have a downstroke on and then an upstroke on a. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Let me do that again for you. 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So that's the basic counting for this song. When you get to 3 E and a, 4 E and a, it's the same exact thing. You're going to have 3 E and a, just like you had on 1, and then 4 E and a. And basically what we're going to be doing is playing that strumming pattern once for each chord in this progression. To fully understand how the strumming pattern works, we need to talk about something called the Constant Strumming Technique. And basically all that is keeping your arm going for every count when you're counting 16th notes. So if you have 1 E and a, 2 E and a, you're going to keep your arm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up the entire time. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Constant strumming, right? Now, when we keep our arm going like that constantly, all we have to do is dig into the strings on the strumming that we talked about. So if we keep this going steady, we have 1 E and a, 2 E. Same exact strumming pattern that we talked about earlier. Our arm just keeps going the entire time. So check that out. I'm going to count and show you how the constant strumming technique works. Watch my arm, it just keeps going even though I'm only digging into the strings on the 1, 2, and a. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 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 2 E and a, 2 E and a. You see how my arm kept going with the time, just keeping time. and it was only digging into the strings for those specific strokes on the strumming pattern that we talked about earlier. Now, when you're learning this strumming pattern, don't even worry about the chords at first if you don't want to. If you're having trouble with it, just mute the strings or just stay on one chord. Just get that down. One E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and don't forget, don't just lock your wrist and strum from your elbow. That can create some tension. Make sure the feather and the honey analogy, make sure to keep that in mind when you're doing the strumming pattern too. So once you get this down, you can apply it to every chord in the chord progression that we learned earlier. So if you did that, it would sound like this. And one trick I want to show you, watch this. If I make that first G major chord and do the strumming pattern, if on the upstroke, I hit all the strings open, it's going to give me time to get to that next D chord. Same thing, if I do that same strumming pattern on my D and on the upstroke, hit all open strings, it'll give me some time to get to that A minor 7. And same thing when I work from my A minor 7 to my C. Not as big of an issue there because all you have to do is come down with your third finger to make that C. But that's one way, a good kind of stepping stone to work on your chord transitions. Don't be afraid to hit those open strings in between those chords. So that's a good stepping stone, like I said, but eventually you want to get to where you can go right to the chords. So that's a bit more of a musical strumming pattern you can use for this song. Now I'm going to play the whole thing again, and then I'm going to embellish it a little more to give you an idea of what you can shoot for it. So slow this way down if you have to. It doesn't have to be perfect right away. Remember, if you're having trouble with one particular chord transition, maybe this G to the D, just isolate that. Just work on the G to the D. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about where you need to go from here in your guitar journey. If you have any questions, just leave them below or email me, Nate@guitarsystem.com. See ya.